And in the headlines, residents of Faumanye at Bremang Ejekuma district in the central region drink from polluted sources of water.
Also, latest survey by the Ghana Blindness and Visual Impairment Study suggests 300,000 Ghanaians with severe visual impairment are on the brink of getting blind.
Also, spider mites invade farms in central region. Vegetable farmers risk losing their investments.
And on the international front, the United States says it is in direct contact with North Korea.
And we have details, including sports and entertainment, coming up. Stay with us. And now, potable water is a scarce commodity for residents of Faumanye at Bremang Ejekuma district in the central region. Now, the major source of water in that community is the Amamisa River, which residents say is not the best, but have defied all odds to rely on it for domestic activities. A report by Spencer Kwabna Boatin Mensa.
Faumanye is a farming community at Bremang Ejekuma district in the central region, with a population of about 600, but has no significant service and commercial activity. The people have several challenges inhibiting their progress, as there is no health facility, community center, and active telecommunication networks in the area. But they say their most pressing challenge has been the scanty nature of potable water flow in the area. Boreholes drilled to provide potable water for the people have broken down for several years with no authority attending to it. The Amamisa River has since then become the ultimate source of water for communities around.
The Amamisa River does not only serve as the link between Faumanye and Namibetra communities here in the central region, but also the river serves as the major source of water for domestic activities for
sustainable goal 6 for all 30, making clean and accessible water an essential commodity of great concern to the world. But every year, millions of children die from diseases associated with inadequate water supply, sanitation and hygiene, according to the WHO. Water scarcity, poor water quality, and inadequate sanitation negatively impact lives of poor families across the world, and people of Faumanye is of no exemption.
We don't have pipe-borne water. We need about 2 boreholes to improve our lives. Water from the earlier ones we had was salty.
I come to here to fetch the water to go and cook food. The borehole is for it. That's why I came here.
Although there are beliefs of attracting diseases for polluting the river, bathing in the river doesn't appear to be a problem to them. These kids bath in the river daily under the watch of residents who access the adjoining communities using the river. During the maiden homecoming festival of Bremang Faumanye in August this year, the Faumanye Traditional Council introduced the various challenges to both community natives and visitors who graced the occasion and appealed for support. The Omahine of Bremang Isiam traditional area, Odifo Afankwa III, was happy irrespective of the various challenges. The people still live together as a community.
I'm glad that you are not divided by religion. Whether or not you are a Christian, what is key is peace and harmony. And your leader is an example of such quality.
Regent of Faumanye Nana Kwajotano II, speaking to TV3 News, expressed discomfort about the poor quality of drinking water in the community.
It's just water that's flowing, and we would prefer it being purified before they drink, even though they've been drinking it just as it is. I mean, I know if you look at the dark surface of the water, you may not want to drink it. We are concerned about the water. Everybody deserves good drinking water.
Let's now turn to the Greater Accra region as the deplorable state of roads within Doyimu and surrounding communities in the Asiedu-Dartey district of the region is severely affecting commercial activities in the area. The challenge to trading and economic activities is compounded by the threat to life as commuters struggle to access the roads.
This is one of the major link roads connecting commuters from Shah Hills to Doyimu, Manya, Jopanya and Aikuma. It's been 2 years now since I visited the community, but very little has changed on the road.
But the state of the road is deteriorating and residents are worried. Anytime it rains, you just simply can't use the stretch.
Residents accuse past government for paying lip service to their plight.
They promised to fix our roads for us, but after voting, they simply abandoned us.
The deplorable state of the roads and others have affected economic business. We have several quarries here and we mine stones here, yet our roads are so bad. Aside the cost drivers incurred frequently because of maintaining their vehicles, the dusty nature is simply unbearable for them.
Whenever I'm going, I carry this thing along to cover up. As it's raining like this, the road is very bad because of the mud. So they have to come and construct the road for us.
The community has chieftaincy issues which had compounded problems for the area.
Now let's move to the Manya Jopanya area where residents have expressed worry over the community lagging behind in terms of development compared to other communities in the area. Now they want government to fast-track efforts to bring the One District, One Factory project to the area to attract businesses.
Manya Jopanya is predominantly a farming community in the Asiedu-Dartey district. About half of the population is also into cattle rearing. Farmers are, however, challenged carting their farm produce from the farmland to nearby commercial centers as drivers are reluctant to ply the only link road in the community. Construction and funding of the entire road was done by residents.
But the road from here to the asphalt is a self-project we did to construct that road. And the Kufodia Atema, Kufodia Shama cars are using that road. But it's unfortunate. The road we couldn't complete. But you can pass the road now. But when it's race heavy, then the disadvantage to use that road. So that's why it's a headache to the community.
The project, which was executed some 3 years ago, had also not received any support from the assembly to rehabilitate it. The area also lacks a market, compelling traders to patronize the Kodiape or Doyimu market centers.
Manya Jopanya is just 1 hour drive from Tema. It is part of the Asiedu-Dartey district. This is the ancestral home of the Shai. But one of the major problems here is that there are no jobs. As a result, most of the youth have migrated from this village.
The community is now a ghost town and residents are appealing to government to come to their aid to revive the place.
The government sent delegate to me. We have a lot of land. Come and work. That One District, One Factory, we are afraid to give a land to the assembly to come and do something on it.
They are hopeful that if more industries are set up in the area, the youth will be employed.
On to the Ashanti region now, as a downpour in Sabronum in the Ahafo-Ano South district of the region has displaced 380 residents. The water submerged 30 houses in the community, while roads and other areas could not be accessed. Here's a report by Benjamin Adu.
Also ripped off the roofs of the Sabronum Basic School, school authorities have had to provide a temporary structure to accommodate the pupils. The rains exposed the poor sanitation and drainage system in the Sabronum community. Drains were choked with weeds and solid waste, while filth engulfed parts of the community. The entire community turned muddy as homes get flooded, compelling residents to remain indoors. The residents benefited from some materials distributed by the National Disaster Management Organization.
As we have assessed, we are now to identify those houses that have been destroyed by the water and the victims that were involved.
District Chief Executive for Ahafo South, Joseph Ajimandapa, assured of Assembly support to desilt the drains. Meanwhile, NADMO has presented student mattresses, mosquito nets, and other relief items to the Kumasi Technical Senior High School, where fire destroyed one of the dormitory blocks. The headmaster of the school, Asiedu-Dartey Akwampoma, expressed gratitude to NADMO.
Right, back in the Accra, portions of the Nima storm drain behind the Youngster International School has collapsed, with parts of the only road in the area caving in. Now, the incident is making commuting on the stretch difficult.
Thursday night during the rains in Accra, a stretch of the storm drain near the Nima EP Church and behind the Youngster School went down during the rains. The collapsed storm drain subsiding half of the access road. The remaining portion of the road is weak and falling at will. The collapsed drain again prevented the free flow of water from upstream as the concrete slabs continue to block the access way, a situation many fear could cause flooding and damage property in the area. It was not clear what accounted for the Thursday night collapse. However, a cursory look suggested the storm drain might be weak. At least two more stretch of the storm drains have collapsed in the same area. Those occurred on the opposite side of the present one. Erosion is also exposing nearby residential facilities. Residents have therefore appealed to the Hydro Department of the Ministry of Works and Housing, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and other relevant authorities to come to their aid.
Let's now turn to agriculture, as limited access to credit facility is inhibiting the growth of poultry production in the country. Poultry farmers in the Ashanti region complain they are yet to benefit from the Export Development and Agriculture Investment Fund, a situation which they fear poses a threat to the government's desire to cut down on the huge import of poultry.
According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, domestically produced broiler meat has fallen from nearly 60% of all poultry consumed in Ghana in 2000 to 20% in 2011. At the same time, imports have increased from 13,900 metric tons to over 155,000. Only 42% of domestic consumption is supplied by domestic production, which is well below the West African average of 86%. There have been calls to improve local production and cut down on imports. This, the general manager of Dako Farms, Augustine Kuda, says can only be possible if farmers have easy access to credit.
The industry is weak. It has been weakened as a result of so many factors. It's difficult for the industry to access credit. And even if you are able to get credit, it is short term, the cost is too high. We're talking about borrowing at 30% or over 30%, while our counterparts in the West are borrowing at 1% or less.
He observed it was becoming increasingly difficult for poultry farmers in the country to access government funds meant for the industry.
If you borrow money and they say, they are giving you 1 month moratorium, so in the second month you have to start paying. And in the second month, your birds are still chicks. How are you going to start paying? So interest begin to accumulate and compounded, and it throw you out of gear. And the reason why they say, oh, well, you are a poor borrower. But it's just because the times are bad.
A poultry farmer, Kujo Asante, appealed to the government to support the Poultry Farmers Association to help members increase production all year round.
Anytime government is planning for poultry or for the agri, They just put the poultry aside. But if you put all the agri, the crops and everything together, the poultry is one area, draft everything. Maize you produce on this country, the poultry consumption about 75%. But unfortunately, like planting food and job, you can see that they do it. So if you are not consulting the poultry, if you get the more maize and the soya, who is going to consume?
Dako Farms, through the support of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, has organized a training workshop for 200 poultry farmers in the Ashanti region. The program provided poultry farmers with the requisite knowledge to expand their operations in order to take advantage of the government's One District, One Factory policy. The district chief executive for Achima Mwabieja Awukuamwa embraced the project and reiterated government's commitment for the poultry sector.
And well, let's trek across to the Denu landing beach in the Volta region, where we are told tension is mounting following a ban placed on the settler Adan fisherfolk in the area for more fishing activities. Now, the settlers Adan fisherfolk have been accused of using unauthorized nets and other banned methods in fishing.
Vice Chair of the Volta Regional National Canoe Fishermen Council on Wednesday stormed the Accra Conference on Fisheries and Coastal Environment with a monofilament net, which he claimed is still being used by a section of the fisherfolk in the Volta region, and called for support to stop the practice.
If you come to Volta region, one particular fishing village by name Adina is still using this illegal net. We are appealing to the government through the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture to see to it that this particular action is being stopped in that part of Volta region. We are appealing, we are begging, we are kukuram to help us to stop this.
But the indigenous fisherfolk of Denu say they cannot wait on anyone to stamp out lawlessness. The local fishermen claimed the settler Ada counterpart are violating the fisheries laws using monofilament nets, light and other banned fishing methods which cannot be countenanced.
So other people, they think where
the Ada fisherfolks invade our waters with banned nets, hence the depletion of the fish stock. If we allow them, a time will come we cannot catch fish for even our domestic consumption. This is the reason our leaders revolt against them. We must protect the fishes for posterity.
But the affected fishermen refuted these claims and blamed the decision to eject them on lack of knowledge.
They say we should stop fishing here, but we don't know the reason. We are all Ghanaians and this is what we do for a living.
They were saying that thing, but we couldn't know that.
They have been saying this, but we thought it was a joke. Now the entire community has risen against us. They want us to move away from their zone. This is not acceptable. We came here purposely to fish, but these people would not give us any breathing space. We abide by all their directives, yet new twist each day. We do not understand what their problem actually is.
The indigenous fishermen are now threatening to use force to ensure the act is stopped.
Now, government has declared red alert on all forms of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing methods in Ghana. Senior Minister Yao Osafo Manfo says the destructions in the fisheries sector has assumed deadly proportion, hence the need to confront it from all angles in order to perpetually halt it.
The Fisheries Amended Regulations 2015 LI 2217 and the Fisheries Regulations and the Fisheries Act 2010 Act 625 are all measures outlined to protect the industry, prevent, deter and eliminate illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Yet, the sector is faced with a myriad of challenges threatening its survival simply because these laws and regulations are being violated with careless abandon.
Let us learn from best practices in other countries. You don't have to invent a wheel. Other systems are worked. Let's adapt some of them and make sure that they work. We just have to be disciplined. By telling them the importance of this industry and the fact that it is getting into a very dangerous curve of sustainability.
Yao Osafo Manfo regretted the trend and pledged to volunteer his office to help fight the menace.
The one point that you must emphasize and write up the solution is the fight against the galamsey of the sea. Talking about over 2 million people's life depend on this, and we all see it dwindling. We all see the business going down. I want to volunteer the support of my office for this fight.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Joseph Garte Ampia, reaffirmed the commitment of the university to the sustainability of fisheries and coastal resources of Ghana.
Together we can rebuild the dwindling fish stocks and sustainably manage our coastal resources to bring the needed change that we all desire.
Director of the Center for Coastal Management of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Dennis Walanyo Aheto, outlined some proposals to deal with the challenges.
Also being aware of the growing plastic menace in our communities, which are washed into the sea to affect the life of fishes. The Environmental Protection Agency, National Development Planning Commission, and the district assemblies should step up their activities to protect the coastal environment and sustain the fisheries industry.
The UCC and USAID Sustainable Fisheries and Management Project and other partners has been seeking to harness expertise and resources to help sanitize the fishing industry.
And refugees at the Ampane refugee camp in the Western region now have access to the internet. This will enable them to undertake capacity building courses online. The development is changing their lives and presenting opportunities to re-enter the world of work, even in their host communities, if given the chance.
The camp has 3,262 refugees. Most of them fled from Ivory Coast as a result of the Second Ivorian Civil War, which broke out in March 2011. 10 in the morning, and around 30 refugees, both young and elderly, are seated at the Ampane Refugee Camp ICT Center. The center is a collaboration between UNHCR and Intelsat. It seeks to provide refugees with the opportunity to use technology to undertake online courses and gain work opportunities. Their determination and desire to learn is strong. In this digital age, technology creates the opportunity for many to work and school. Authorities of the Ampane refugee camp, in collaboration with Intelsat, are creating this avenue for refugees within this community to take online courses and jobs to build their scope and expand their resume. Moriel Jeti is a 53-year-old mother of 3. She tells me she never lost hope as a result of the war. Her job as a bilingual secretary at the port of Abidjan in Ivory Coast earned her an income of roughly $4,000 million monthly. Today, she engages in soap making, following a capacity building training with ARDA. Moriel shared with me the difficulty fleeing Ivory Coast to Ghana.
The journey was extremely difficult. My family had to part ways. My husband and eldest son came together while I came with the 2 younger children. Though we were not together initially, we eventually found each other here at the camp.
This year marks Moriel's 7th year at the camp. She is saddened by the bleak future that awaits children and the youth at the camp.
The war did a lot of damage to me. As a mother, the first thing I regret is how my children's education has been destroyed. By now, my 13-year-old daughter would have been in Form 1 or 2, then upon completion straight to university. But here, she's not even close. The language barrier has also drawn us back greatly. But in the absence of a proper university education, we will just settle for online diploma qualification.
Moriel is taking a course in English for career development via the Coursera platform and hopes to take a course in child rights upon receiving her first diploma. When asked where she hopes this would lead her, this was her response.
I can't allow this environment to prevent me from growing. I continue to take these programs to develop myself. Tomorrow might present an opportunity, and I must be prepared.
Some other refugees are also taking advantage of the online platform. In spite of their situation, one thing is clear: the desire to live a dignified life and contribute to the world of work still resides within them. Natalie Fort, TV3 News.
Well, away from technology and refugees, Ghana is faced with critical shortage of eye health personnel. Volta and Upper East regions, for instance, are without ophthalmologists. A latest survey by the Ghana Blindness and Visual Impairment Study suggests 300,000 Ghanaians with severe visual impairment are on the brink of getting blind.
It's one of the most important organs of humans. The delicate nature of the eye needs specialist attention. However, personnel to attend to the numerous people in the country who need specialist eye care, according to eye health experts, is inadequate. Across the country, there are only 91 ophthalmologists, and it is more worrying because there are none in the Volta and Upper East regions. The regional distribution of eye health personnel is biased, with rural areas being disadvantaged. At least, Ghana Blindness and Visual Impairment Study indicates 300,000 Ghanaians have severe visual impairment and are on the brink of getting blind. Director of Institution Care Division of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Akoriya, is calling for a concerted effort to address the worrying trend.
Today, in our beloved country, Ghana, the prevalence of blindness is 0.74. That means 207,000 Ghanaians are blind. This calls for structural and policy change. This calls for all of us to come together, public, private, NGOs, financial institutions, training institutions, among others, to tackle this as a national plight.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Insiasari, who launched the report, noted that the Ghana Eye Health Program was working to reduce avoidable blindness and visual impairment in the country, indicating the report will help the sector strategically design intervention programs in future.
Although Ghana Eye Health Service Program is committed to working towards the reduction of avoidable blindness and visual impairment, it is probably limited by reliable data, which is vital for effective and appropriate interventions.
Bank Mansa Nete expressed the bank's excitement about supporting eye health intervention.
The survey indicates that eye health program interventions such as Seeing is Believing are making a positive impact, and we need to focus more on addressing avoidable blindness.
The Ghana Blindness and Visual Impairment Study 2015 was a collaboration between the Ghana Health Service, Standard Chartered Bank, and other stakeholders.
Now to the good news. And for people who have lost their eyes through injury or have had their eyes removed through surgery, there is hope. Ocular prosthetic is the latest aid available used to produce a natural-looking eye for people who have lost their eyes.
Ocular prosthesis is an artificial eye used to replace a natural eye in case of injury, surgical removal, or an eye which has become small, among others. The artificial eye is not fixed permanently, but can be removed and fixed as and when a patient wants it. The artificial eye is made up of white acrylic, which takes between 2 to 3 days to manufacture. Ocular prosthesis was introduced in Ghana in 2013. Since its introduction in the country, 133 clients have fixed their ocular prosthesis. Evelyn Tre is the only ocularist in the country, putting smiles on the faces of the many clients who visit the facility.
If you take an eye, you need to replace it with something. So they thought it wise to send somebody outside to go and learn how to manufacture artificial eyes so that the person can put smiles on patient's face.
She has served clients from Ghana, Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast.
I book them because if you don't book them and you try to do the prosthesis for them, it means you won't do your best for your patient. Within the week, I'm able to do between 3 to 4 prosthesis a week.
Principal Nursing Officer of the Eye Center, Dorothy Fiadoyo, shows the team some custom-faced ocular prostheses ready to be fixed for their client. This is one of the fortunate patients who have his custom-fixed ocular prosthesis, and the excitement on his face tells it all. 15-year-old Victoria lost one of her eyes at age 5. At 17, she's here to have her custom-fixed ocular prosthesis fixed, and she is excited about it.
My sister is a nurse who told me about that if you do it, they'll give artificial, but you'll be normal. I feel okay, but I thank God that I'm come to have it now, be free.
Like Victoria, Alhaji Idris Bedu, 84, has also heard about the custom-fit ocular prosthesis and has come to the center to make inquiries. As Ghana joins the world to mark World Ocular Prosthesis Day, there is a call to set up a training center to train. Ocularist Evelyn Tre have also urged people to visit the Kolebu Eye Clinic to have their defective eyes fixed.
Well, quite encouraging there. And still on health, the Fertility Society of Ghana has held its first annual Congress in Accra to look at current trends in the management of subfertile couples. The Congress brought together reproductive health experts and stakeholders to discuss new technologies for the treatment of infertility. Two-day workshop which began on September 28. With the workshop discussed how Ghana can have a data captured in a registry to help with strategic planning of health resources at the governmental level to support the subfertile couple. Interim President of the Fertility Society of Ghana, Dr. Edem Hiaji, noted the society is bringing on board all fertility centers to help in its data collection efforts.
We are trying to get every center in Ghana to get data which they would put together so that we have a national data, and then all this is coordinated later on to have a continental data, so that we can say that in Ghana there are 15% of the infertile issues is because the man's sperm is poor, or because the woman has blocked tubes, or we can also see that in Ghana when you do test tube or IVF, the success rate is on average 30%.
Dr. Edem Hiaji further added that the annual Congress, among other things, was to consolidate the society's efforts of finding ways to work together and deal with the issues affecting the subfertile couple.
Over the years, as science has improved, many more techniques of using to help people have come about. Now we've moved up to the level of what was called test tube baby. Now there are about 18 centers. We need all these people to come together so that we can form an association where we will increase our knowledge together with other stakeholders.
There was scientific presentation from experts in reproductive health from Sigma Tau Health Services, who shared insights into the challenges of the subfertile couple and the current trends in management. President of the Africa Fertility Society, Professor Ula Dapo Ashiru, expressed satisfaction with activities of the society.
FESOG has really, in relatively 1 year, has done what is fantastic. They have done a plenary scientific session, a workshop session, and these are very good sessions. And I believe that the proliferation of IVF centers in Ghana will meet the demand that is required in this environment.
Main sponsor of the event, Sigma Tau, launched a variety of the Prostate product, a fertility supplement for couples trying to conceive.
And now to Nigeria, and that country is setting up special courts to speed up the trial of corruption cases and give a boost to President Muhammadu Buhari's efforts to fulfill an electoral pledge to stamp out grafts in Africa's biggest oil producer. Speaking to TV3 ahead of Nigeria's 57th anniversary, Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana, Olufemi Michael Abikoye, indicated that taking out corruption cases and putting them in special courts is going to fast-track the prosecution.
President Muhammadu Buhari, whose election in 2015 marked the first time in Nigeria's history an opposition candidate defeated an incumbent, campaigned on ending widespread corruption and reforming the country of more than 180 million people. Instead, a plunge in output and prices of crude, the nation's main export and source of 2/3 of government revenue, sent the economy into its biggest slump in a quarter century. The administration's guiding principle is to remain committed to the war on graft and use the savings for national development. Nigeria is currently ranked 136 out of 176 countries on Transparency International's 2016 Corruption Perception Index. Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana, Olufemi Michael Abikoye, indicated on the day of the 57th independence celebration of Nigeria that the commitment of the Buhari-led administration to fight corruption is undoubted.
Corruption is everywhere in the world, even in the developed world. But I can assure you, in the last 8 months, the Economic Financial Crime Commission, which we call the AFCC, has been able to recover millions of naira, millions of dollars, and a lot of them, of those corrupt politicians, corrupt government officials, are actually facing prosecutions in the court. I don't think we have ever had this so well. And the international community are there. They have been so full of praise for Nigeria. Most African countries have been coming to Nigeria to come and understudy the AFCC.
On whether Nigeria will ever win the war against corruption, Olufemi Michael Abikoye
Welcome back to the news, and let's continue with some more stories. And vegetable growers in Gomuwa-Bewadze and Winneba are counting losses due to the invasion of spider mites in their farms. According to the farmers, this is the first time they are experiencing such an attack from the pest. Lucia Yambila has filed the report.
Spider mites are tiny flying insects that are difficult to be seen at a distance that destroy crops or plants. At Gomuwa-Bewadze, where the TV3 News team first visited, a large portion of green pepper farm was affected by the spider mite, attacking the leaves and the fruit. Jonathan Adu is a vegetable grower whose 45-acre land of green pepper and tomatoes are completely destroyed by spider mites. The situation was worse at Winneba, where the pest first attacked the green pepper and tomato farm in July this year. He noted he had to move to Gomuwa-Bewadze to farm there after the pest attacked the one at Winneba, but found the pest there again when the pepper was at the fruit-bearing stage. Jonathan Adu, who is also the CEO of Love Plant Company Limited, lamented the situation has compelled him to lay off some of his farm workers because he is incurring losses.
We lay some off so that we can be able to control it. But yes, still, because of the problem has not been solved, we find it so difficult to maintain the rest. Now it left roughly about 42 workers now. We have decided to sack, let's say, 20 of them and see whether we can be able to maintain the 20 workers.
He narrated how he tried controlling them by applying several agrochemicals but yielded no result.
I think sometimes we call some of these agrochemist dealers and some of the agronomists. I mean, we've consulted this agric extension agents and PPRA people. They've recommended some of chemicals and other things, but just the initial stage we are having some chemical that we normally use. But I think the chemical got finished in the system.
According to him, if not controlled, the infestation of the spider mite can cause food shortage and increase unemployment rate, thus appealing passionately for government intervention.
Health experts say without surgical Operation, about 30% of children in Ghana will die before their 5th birthday from hole in heart. Now, this was revealed by Dr. Lawrence Shrebo, who's the director of the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital at the Kasapreko Awake Purifying One for Life project in commemoration of World Heart Day.
World Heart Day is marked on September 29 each year across the globe to highlight interventions against cardiovascular diseases. This year, Awake Purified Water from Kasapreko through its One for Life project donated 75,000 cedis as its corporate social responsibility from proceeds of its sales to the National Cardiothoracic Center of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. The event was also used as an occasion to sensitize the public on simple ways to protect the heart. Director of the National Cardiothoracic Center of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Lawrence Shrebo, advised the public to take delight in physical activities to improve their heart health.
You only need to meet a mother who had no hope, a family that was devastated because a member of the family has been told that they will need heart surgery. It's beyond the means of most people. And if you see the joy, if you see the relief, if you see the response when they hear that somebody has come to their rescue, you get goose pimples.
Brand manager for Kasapreko Purified Water and Beverages, Chris Sarkodie, assured the center of continued support to aid patients at the National Cardiothoracic Center.
We have people sometimes coming in with reports via Facebook, our social media platforms. Others also write to us, and most of them, they actually go straight to the hospital. There's no specific criteria, no, and it's for everybody. I mean, provided you are a Ghanaian or provided you are in need of that surgery, Awake will be there to support you.
The donation is made every quarter to help patients who undergo heart surgeries. The company donated 1 pesewa for every small bottle of Awake water bought and 2 pesewas for the big bottle of Awake water purchased to the center to support needy patients.
You're watching News 360, and when we return, we'll bring you the latest from the world of sports, including how Chelsea wobbled at the bridge without Morata.
Welcome back to News 360. In entertainment news this evening, contemporary music group Reggie and Boli recommend a lot of work to put Ghanaian music on the global music scene. The duo joined forces in 2012 after embarking on solo projects in Ghana before settling in the UK.
London-based Ghanaian music group Reggie and Boli say Ghanaian music has only been accepted by the Ghanaian community in the UK. Having lived in the UK for over 10 years, the duo said performing to the Ghanaian community all the time is not a reflection of the entire country's acceptance. They stressed it would take continuous effort and dedication to penetrate the UK music scene.
Our industry needs to be well structured, do you know what I mean, so that the songs can be well distributed all over so other people can listen to our songs.
Don't just look at the music, but do all the underground work. You know, when we were back here, so we also release music same way. Make sure your music is accessible on all platforms so people can reach you.
On their role as tourism ambassadors for Ghana in the diaspora, they said they are ready to fly the flag of Ghana even higher. They hinted their management is gearing up on projects to reflect their ambassadorial role and lauded the sector ministry.
In international news tonight, the United States says it is in direct contact with North Korea. According to Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, the bulletin said Washington was probing the possibility of talks with Pyongyang. And that's all for this edition of News 360. My name is Isa Moni.
And I'm Natalie Fort. Remember, we've got more news on our website, www.3news.com. Have a wonderful evening.